to present a poem. What shall I do?
What will you do? Is this a question? Show that you know the poem and remind them what a poem it is. Well, you know what you must do. Go, confront the problem, fight, win, and call me when you get back, darling. I enjoy our visits.
Welcome to the Poetry Dojo,
where we learn to know our poems
and learn to wield them to fight and win.
Today we are considering Noel by John Ronald Reuel Tolkien.
J.R.R. Tolkien, as he is better known, was born in 1892 and lived until 1973. He is best known for his books, which he wrote, The Hobbit in 1937 and The Lord of the Rings, which was released between 1954 and 1955. He was professor of Anglo-Saxon at Pembroke College at the University of Oxford from 1925 to 1945, and from 1945 to 1959, when he retired, he was the Merton Professor of the English Language and Literature at Merton College, not surprisingly, also of Oxford University. Elizabeth II, Queen, the second by that name, in 1972 made him a commander of the Order of the British Empire 1 year before his death.
Is that like a knighthood?
It is like a knighthood yet. Okay. Yes. So as much as the Beatles were made knights, I suppose J.R.R. Tolkien was made a knight as well. And I would argue he deserved it more, but that's just me and my own private opinion. Nevertheless, this poem was published 1 year before The Hobbit. He wrote a lot of poetry, but without the pretense of being a great poet. His best known poems are those that were included in The Lord of the Rings, which had a number of poems in Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and The Return of the King. Each had their own sets of poems that he wrote.
Chiefly as songs, I think.
Yes, yeah. Chiefly as songs. And he recognized that he was not the poet's poet, but he took great joy in the language. And that comes out in his poetry. Mm-hmm.
He is also famed for translating Anglo-Saxon poetry. Beowulf, Sir Orfeo, Pearl, and what's the famous one? Sir Gawain.
And the Green Knight.
Yes. So you'll see
Or Gawain in the Green Knight.
Yeah, however you say it. Potato. I didn't go to Oxford and study Anglo-Saxon under J.R.R. Tolkien, and I'm not bitter about that at all. But there's a quality of the Anglo-Saxon poetry. It's chiefly not built on rhyme, but on alliteration. And so we'll see that in this poem, there's a lot of solidity to the words also. I think words that are derived from the Romance languages, from Latin, have a derivative feeling to them that Tolkien was very aware of. So whenever possible, he would use the Anglo-Saxon word because it feels more solid, more fundamental.
It is interesting. There was which I don't know if I've commented on this in a previous episode, but a well-known Spanish writer noted that English was a more useful language for great writing than Spanish was, because English came with, on average, 3 different words for every concept because of Anglo-Saxon, Norman, and Latin. Mm-hmm. So it was...
We've got options.
Yeah, you've got options. And probably also a little bit of theft from the Irish, and from the Welsh, and the Scottish, and anybody else that they happen to come by.
Yeah.
This particular poem was lost for 80 years? It was published in a Catholic diocese's magazine, and having been published, it just went into archives and wasn't seen for 80 years. But it recently was discovered again, and I encountered it for the first time just this last Christmas. And this day being J.R.R. Tolkien's birthday, it seemed appropriate to consider the poem. Noel by J.R.R. Tolkien. Grim was the world, and gray last night. The moon and stars were fled, the hall was dark without song or light, the fires were fallen dead. The wind in the trees was like to the sea, and over the mountain's teeth it whistled bitter cold and free, as a sword leapt from its sheath. The Lord of Snows upreared his head, his mantle long and pale upon the bitter blast was spread, and hung o'er hill and dale. The world was blind, the boughs were bent. All ways and paths were wild. Then the veil of cloud apart was rent, and here was born a child. The ancient dome of heaven sheer was pricked with distant light. A star came shining white and clear, alone above the night. In the dale of dark, in that hour of birth, one voice on a sudden sang. Then all the bells in heaven and earth together at midnight rang. Mary sang in this world below. They heard her song arise o'er mist and over mountain snow to the walls of paradise. And the tongue of many bells was stirred in heaven's towers to ring when the voice of mortal maid was heard, that was mother of heaven's king. Glad is the world, and fair this night, with stars about its head, and the hall is filled with laughter and light. The fires are burning red, the bells of paradise now ring with bells of Christendom. And Gloria, Gloria, we will sing, that God on earth is come. Noel, by J.R.R. Tolkien. I think you already spoke to the alliteration, form, and language of the poem. It is a solemn poem, yet one that ends with joy. This is the pivot of history, which Tolkien labeled the eucatastrophe of history, of the great story. This is, or at least the beginning, the promise of the eucatastrophe, because the incarnation was not the pivot point of history. It was his death and resurrection. It was the coming of God into the story that he was telling, and the joy that now was possible to a world that was otherwise joyless, cold, and dead without him.
Yeah, the poem tells of how the world has changed in one moment with the coming of God. Last night, the world was grim and gray. There's no stars or moon. The halls are silent. There's no fires burning. There's no warmth, no human joy. It's almost like we're in a feasting hall of,
The image is very much that of an Anglo-Saxon feasting hall, but one that is dead and hollow, silent and cold.
There has been no victory until now. And the bells of heaven ring, and then the bells of Christendom are an expansion of the bells of paradise, so that there's a unity between heaven and earth. Heaven has come to earth, and earth is changed and filled with song.
And joy, light and life.
Yeah, lovely bookends in the first and last stanzas. Thank you for tuning in. This has been a Diecast Media Group production. Please recommend us to friends, family, relations, but not your competitors. Feel free to email us with any questions at poetrydojo@diecastmediagroup.com. And tune in next time for another exciting episode and another fine poem.